Yesterday, Kang Taejin was the weakest hunter in Korea. Today, every guild in the country wants him dead. Picture this. A lone figure stands on a ridge of broken bones. Behind him, 10,000 skeletal soldiers stretch to the horizon, their eye sockets burning with blue fire. Before him, the three strongest guilds in Seoul kneel in the dirt, begging for mercy. One of them whispers, What is he? He doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. The sky above cracks open. A dungeon gate? No. An abyss gate. Tears through the clouds, black lightning splitting the heavens. Every hunter in the city feels it. Every radar in every guild headquarters screams the same warning. S-rank threat detected, and Kang Taejin? He smiles. If you're new here, hit subscribe so you don't miss part 2, because this story is only getting started. But how did we get here? How does a man with 0 mana, 0 combat class, and 0 respect from anyone in the hunter world build an army that makes S-ranks tremble? 1 week. That's all it took. 1 week ago, Kang Taejin was F-rank. Not low rank, not E rank, F rank. The rank that doesn't even appear on official guild rosters. The rank they give you when they want to pretend you don't exist. He had no skills, no weapons, no party that would keep him for more than a single raid. And the people who were supposed to protect him? They left him to die in a collapsing dungeon, buried under monsters, with no way out, no food, no light, no hope. So what happens when the weakest hunter alive is pushed into the abyss and comes back with an army of the dead? That's the story. But first, you need to understand what they did to him. You need to understand why, when he finally had the power to destroy everything, he chose mercy. Well, partial mercy. Let's go back to the beginning. Kang Taejin was 22 years old, unemployed, registered as an F-rank hunter for 3 years without a single level gained. In a world where gates opened without warning and monsters poured into cities, hunters were everything. Celebrities, heroes, wealthy beyond imagination. The stronger you were, the more the world bent to your will, and Taejin. The world didn't bend, it walked past him. His mana core was measured at 0.3. For context, an E-rank hunter averaged 15, a D-rank averaged 50. The minimum threshold to be considered useful in any party was 30, Zel 0.3. The testing officer who measured him didn't even look up from his clipboard. He just stamped the form and said, "Next." Taejin stood there for a moment, waiting for something else, an explanation, a suggestion. Maybe even a shred of pity. Nothing. I said next. That was 3 years ago. Nothing had changed since Taejin got the call at 6 a.m. A C-rank gate had opened near Incheon, and a mid-tier guild called Iron Fang needed a baggage carrier. That was Taejin's role. Not fighter, not support, baggage carrier. He carried potions, spare weapons, and emergency rations for the real hunters. The pay was terrible, 40,000 won. Roughly $30 American for 6 hours of work inside a monster-infested dungeon, but he needed it. Rent was overdue, his fridge was empty, and no other guild would even return his calls. The party leader was Park Minwoo, B rank, tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of face that magazine covers loved. He was on the fast track to A rank, and everyone in the guild treated him like royalty. His girlfriend was Yu Seola, a rank healer, beautiful, sharp. The kind of woman who walked into a room and made every man forget what he was doing. She used to date Taejin 2 years ago, before she awakened as an A rank and he stayed at F. She broke up with him in a coffee shop in front of 10 people without raising her voice. "I'm sorry, Taejin. I need someone who can keep up with me." "You understand, right?" He understood. He understood perfectly. The dungeon raid went fine for the first 3 floors. Taejin carried the bags, stayed in the back, didn't speak unless spoken to. The party cleared monsters efficiently. Minwoo fought well. Seola healed. The other members, 4 C ranks and 1 B rank, handled the rest. On the 4th floor, they found the boss room. And the boss was wrong. It was supposed to be a C rank ogre. Standard. Predictable. Instead, the gate inside the room was pulsing red. The monster standing in the center was twice the expected size, with black veins running across its skin and eyes that glowed like embers. A mutated variant. C-rank dungeon, but the boss had mutated to B-rank aggression. Maybe higher. Minwoo stepped forward, then stopped. Change of plans. He looked at Taejin. Taejin, walk into the room. Taejin blinked. "What? Walk in, get its attention. Lead it toward the east wall. We'll hit it from behind while it's focused on you." Taejin's mouth went dry. He looked at the boss, then at Minwoo, then at Seola, hoping for something. A word of objection, a hint of concern. Seola was checking her phone. "This is a bad idea," Taejin said quietly. "I'm F rank. 1 hit from that thing and I'm dead." Minwoo smiled. Not a cruel smile. Worse. A patient one. The kind you give a child who doesn't understand. "You'll be fine. We're right behind you. Just lure it for 10 seconds. That's all we need." Taejin looked around the party. Every single one of them avoided eye contact. Not one person spoke up. He walked in, the ogre saw him immediately. It roared. The sound shook the walls. Taejin ran left, exactly as instructed, toward the east wall. Behind him, the party ran, not toward the boss, toward the exit. They left the dungeon gate sealed behind them. Taejin turned around just in time to see the last member disappear through the portal. The barrier closed. He was locked inside a C-rank dungeon with a B-rank mutant boss and nothing but a utility belt full of potions he couldn't use because his mana was too low to activate them. The ogre charged. Taejin ran. He ran through corridors he barely remembered from the way in, taking wrong turns, smashing into walls, his lungs burning. The ogre destroyed everything behind him, tearing through stone pillars like paper. He found a narrow passage, too narrow for the ogre. He squeezed inside and pressed his back against the cold rock. The ogre's arm reached in, claws scraping the walls inches from his face, then pulled back. It waited. Taejin slid to the ground. His hands were shaking. His phone had no signal underground, no mana, no weapons, no party. They left him, not by accident, not in the confusion of battle. Minwoo looked him in the eye and told him to walk into a death trap, and every single person in that party went along with it. And Seola, the woman who once said she loved him, she didn't even look up from her phone, stank too. The guild office. 2 days later, Taejin crawled out of that dungeon through a crack in the gate structure. Half-starved, dehydrated, alive but barely. He went straight to the Iron Fang guild office to report what happened. The receptionist was a woman in her 30s with glasses and a bored expression. She listened to his story for exactly 30 seconds. You were abandoned in a dungeon by a registered party? Yes. Do you have evidence? Taejin stared at her. I was locked inside for 2 days. I almost died. That's not evidence. That's a claim. Do you have recorded footage? Witness statements? A party log showing voluntary departure without you? He didn't. Of course he didn't. He was the baggage carrier. Nobody recorded the baggage carrier. I'm sorry, but without evidence, we can't process a complaint. The party leader's report says the dungeon destabilized and the party evacuated under emergency protocol. You were listed as, let me check, missing, presumed dead. Presumed dead? They told me to walk into the boss room. The receptionist looked at him with something worse than hostility. Indifference. Sir, you're F rank. You entered a C rank dungeon voluntarily. The guild's liability waiver, which you signed, explicitly states that the guild is not responsible for injuries or deaths of hunters ranked below the dungeon's classification. Your complaint is noted, but no action will be taken. She stamped a piece of paper, filed it. Moved on. Taejin stood there. The lobby was full of hunters. A ranks, B ranks. People who cleared dungeons weekly and made more money in a day than Taejin made in 3 months. They all heard. Every word. Nobody said anything. A few smirked. One C-rank hunter near the water cooler leaned over to his friend and whispered, just loud enough for Taejin to hear, why do F ranks even exist? Seriously, they're a waste of oxygen. His friend laughed. Taejin walked out of the guild office. The automatic doors closed behind him with a soft chime. Outside, Seoul was bright and loud and completely indifferent to his existence. He sat on the curb, stared at the sky. 40,001. That was what his life was worth to Iron Fang. $30 and a signed waiver. His phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. He opened it. It was from Seola. Taejin, don't file a complaint. It'll just make things harder for you. Minwoo is going to be promoted to A rank next month. He has connections. If you push this, they'll blacklist you from every guild in the country. Just let it go. You'll find another party eventually. Maybe. That word sat in his chest like a stone. He read the message 3 times. Then he put the phone in his pocket and sat there, on the edge of a sidewalk in the most powerful city in Korea, and realized something that every weak person in this world eventually understands. Nobody was coming. Nobody was going to save him. Nobody was going to punish Minwoo or shame Seola or hold the guild accountable. The system wasn't broken. It was working exactly as designed, for the strong. And Taejin was not strong. But what happens when the weakest man alive stumbles into something that was never meant for the weak? What happens when the abyss looks at him and says, "You'll do?" Taejin didn't go home that night. He walked. Through Gangnam. Through the back alleys near the Hunter Association headquarters. Past the glowing billboards of S-rank hunters endorsing energy drinks and luxury cars. Past the guild recruitment centers with their glossy posters and fake smiles. He walked until his legs hurt, then he kept walking, because stopping meant thinking. And thinking meant admitting the truth. He was nothing, not underrated, not undiscovered, not secretly talented, just nothing. A 0.3 mana core in a world that demanded 30. A body too weak to survive a C-rank dungeon. A name no guild wanted on their roster. He found himself standing in front of a gate. Not a real gate, a dead one. An old, decommissioned dungeon entrance sealed years ago behind a shopping district in Seoul. The barrier was still there, flickering weakly, a faint purple shimmer across a crack in the concrete wall. The association had tagged it for permanent closure, but the budget never came through. Homeless hunters sometimes slept near dead gates. The mana leakage kept the area warm. Taijin had done it before. Twice, he sat down against the wall, closed his eyes, and then the ground shook. Not a tremor, not an earthquake, something deeper. Something that vibrated through his bones, through his teeth, through the 0.3 mana core that everyone said was worthless. The dead gate cracked open, the purple barrier shattered like glass. A hole tore through the concrete wall, black and swirling, cold air pouring out of it like breath from a mouth. Taijin scrambled to his feet. His first instinct was to run. Call the association. Report a gate breach, but his phone was dead. The screen had cracked during the dungeon 2 days ago, and he hadn't had money to fix it. And then something happened that made him stop. The gate pulsed. Once, twice. And on the third pulse, a voice, not a voice, a feeling, a pressure inside his skull said a single word. Enter, not a suggestion, not a command, an invitation. Like the dungeon itself was asking, every instinct he had told him to run. F-rank hunters didn't enter unranked gates. That was how people died. That was how bodies ended up in association morgues with cause of death, stupidity on the report. But what did he have to lose? No guild wanted him. No party needed him. His ex-girlfriend was dating the man who tried to feed him to an ogre. The guild office wouldn't even stamp his complaint. He stepped inside. The dungeon was dark. Not regular dark. Absolute dark. The kind where you can't see your own hand in front of your face. Taijin walked forward, one hand on the wall, counting steps. 50, 100, 200, the air changed. It got colder, then warmer, then colder again, cycling like a heartbeat. On step 312, the floor disappeared. He fell, not a short fall, a long one. Long enough to scream, long enough to regret every decision that brought him here. Long enough to wonder if this was how it ended. Not in a glorious battle, not in a blaze of glory, but falling in a hole nobody knew existed. He hit the ground and survived. The impact should have broken every bone in his body. Instead, he landed on something soft, cold. Brittle bones. He reached out. His fingers touched ribs, skulls, spines. An entire floor made of skeletal remains, piled so deep he couldn't feel the bottom. Taijin sat up. His heart was hammering. His hands were shaking. And then the dungeon lit up, not all at once, in waves. Blue fire ignited along the walls, spreading across the ceiling like veins of lightning, illuminating a cavern so massive it could have held a stadium. And the bones, thousands of them, tens of thousands. Monsters, hunters, creatures he didn't recognize, all dead, all reduced to skeletons. All piled across this underground chamber like a graveyard forged by something ancient and hungry. In the center of the cavern, a throne, made of black stone, empty above it. Suspended in the air, a single notification hovered, not on a screen, not on a phone. In the air itself, burning blue letters that Taijin could read as clearly as if they were written in fire. They welcome inheritor. Taijin stared at it. Date: you have been selected as the successor of the necromancer throne. Date condition met. Mana core below 1 point. No registered combat class. No guild affiliation. No living party members. You meet every requirement. You are alone. You are powerless. You are perfect. Perfect. The word hit him harder than the fall. Every system he'd ever known ranked him last. Every guild rejected him. Every person he trusted abandoned him. And now, in a hole beneath a dead gate in a forgotten alley, something ancient was calling him perfect, not despite his weakness. Because of it, do you accept the necromancer class? Warn: this class cannot be abandoned. Once accepted, the path is sealed. Taijin thought about Minwoo's patient smile, Siola's text message, the receptionist's bored expression, the C-rank hunter who called him a waste of oxygen. Yes, the word left his mouth before his brain finished processing. Accepted. Necromancer class unlocked. Initiating skill tree. Skeleton Lord. Processing. The error. Inheritor's mana core is insufficient for standard skill allocation. Recalculating. Solution found. Bypassing mana core requirement. Drawing power from the Bone Throne directly. A skill: Skeleton Army. Level max skill. Bone Armor. Level max. Ega skill. Death Aura. Level max skill. Soul Chain. Level max. Agazet skill: Grave Domain, level max. Agazet all Skeleton Lord skills set to maximum level. Compensation for Inheritor's inability to grow through normal means. Agazet additional effect: every skill will continue to scale automatically. No cap, no limit. Taijin read the notifications 3 times. Each time, the words meant less and more at the same time. Every skill, maxed, no cap. He had seen other hunters celebrate gaining a single skill point. He once watched an online video where a B-rank hunter spent 3 months grinding dungeons to level up 1 skill from level 3 to level 4, and he just got every skill in the Skeleton Lord tree set to maximum in 1 second, for free. The final notification: the Bone Throne has awakened its army. The bones moved, all of them. Every skeleton in the cavern, every skull, every rib cage, every femur. They rattled, they shifted, they rose. Skeletons climbed out of the pile, assembling themselves piece by piece. Some were human, some were beast, some were things that didn't exist in any monster manual. Towering constructs of bone with 4 arms and hollow chests that glowed with blue fire. They lined up, row after row after row, 10, 20, 50, 100, more, filling the cavern, filling every corridor. Standing shoulder to shoulder, their empty eye sockets fixed on Taijin with the kind of loyalty that only the dead could give. And then as 10,000 skeletons dropped to one knee and bowed, the sound was like thunder. Taijin stood in the center of it all, his mouth open, his hands trembling, his 0.3 mana core humming for the first time in his life. He didn't feel strong. He didn't feel powerful. He felt chosen. And that was scarier, because being chosen meant he had to do something with it. He looked at the army. He looked at the throne. He looked at the system notifications still burning in the air. Then he sat down on the throne. It fit, like it was made for him. Maybe it was. The skeletons rose, awaited orders, patient, silent. Eternal. Taijin closed his eyes, inheritor status updated. Title granted, Lord of the Bone Throne. Exit passive effect. All summoned skeletons gain plus 200% stats when fighting within 500 meters of the inheritor. Exit passive effect. Every enemy killed by a skeleton grants XP to the inheritor, and to every active skeleton. Multiplier effect active. Jadi multiplier. Every kill feeds him. Every kill feeds the army. And the stronger the army gets, the more they kill. And the more they kill, the stronger he gets. It wasn't a system. It was a loop. An infinite, compounding loop of death and growth. Taijin opened his eyes. The cavern was quiet. The army waited. He whispered a single sentence to no one. In this world, if you don't have power, you don't have value. He paused. So I'll take all of it. Taijin didn't leave the dungeon immediately. He sat on the throne for what felt like an hour. Maybe 2. The skeletons didn't move, didn't speak. They simply waited, motionless, their blue fire eyes fixed on him like he was the sun, and they were planets caught in his orbit. And Taijin was thinking, not about revenge, not yet. He was thinking about something more practical. He had every skill maxed. He had an army of 10,000. He had a title, a throne, and a passive system that turned every kill into compounded growth. But he had never fought anything in his life, da frank. 0 combat experience. The sum total of his dungeon raid history was carrying bags and running from an ogre. That was it. That was his entire resume. Power without control was just a disaster waiting to happen. And Taijin had survived too many disasters to walk into another one blindly. So he did something that surprised even himself. He talked to them. Can you understand me? The nearest skeleton, a human-sized one, holding a rusted sword, tilted its head. No voice, no expression. But the tilt was enough. Good, listen carefully. I need to test something. I need to know what you can do. Not what the system says you can do. What you actually do when I give an order. The skeleton straightened, waited. You step forward. Attack that wall. The skeleton moved. Not slowly, not clumsily. It crossed 20 meters in a blur, its rusted sword swinging in a precise arc that carved a gash 3 inches deep into solid stone. Taijin blinked. That was a basic skeleton, the lowest unit in his army, and it had just cut stone like it was clay. He called another one. This time, one of the larger constructs, a 4-armed beast skeleton towering 9 feet tall, its ribs glowing with concentrated blue fire. You, same thing. That pillar, the construct charged. 4 arms swung simultaneously. The pillar, a stone column thick enough to support a building, exploded into fragments. Shrapnel bounced off the cavern walls. Dust filled the air. Taijin's ears rang. He looked at the destroyed pillar, then at the construct, then at the system notification that appeared unbidden in the air before him. The skeleton construct, combat rating, B rank equivalent, Gabi rank. 1 skeleton, 1 single unit in his army of 10,000. He did quick math in his head. If 1 construct was B rank, and he had hundreds of constructs, plus thousands of standard skeletons, plus whatever else was buried in those bone piles he hadn't identified yet. But raw power wasn't the real weapon. The real weapon was the multiplier. He needed to see it work. Taijin ordered a portion of his army, 50 skeletons and 10 constructs, to follow him through the dungeon corridors. The rest stayed in the throne room, awaiting further commands. The dungeon wasn't empty. Beyond the throne chamber, tunnels branched in every direction. Monsters lurked in the dark. He could hear them. Clicking, growling, breathing. Things that had crawled into this gate over years of neglect, feeding on the mana leakage, growing fat and feral in the absence of hunters. Perfect targets. The first encounter came within minutes. A pack of shadowhounds, C-rank monsters. 6 of them. Lean, black-furred creatures with red eyes and teeth that could chew through steel. In a normal raid, a C-rank party would handle these. 6 hounds would mean a coordinated fight, positioning, maybe an injury or two. Taijin raised one hand. He didn't know why. It just felt right. Kill them. 6 skeletons surged forward. The hounds snarled and lunged. The fight lasted 4 seconds. 4 seconds. The skeletons didn't just kill the hounds. They dismantled them. One hound bit a skeleton's femur, and the bone didn't even crack. Another hound tried to flee, and a construct caught it mid-stride, crushing its spine in one hand. The enemies defeated. Shadowhound X6. Exit gained 600. X2 multiplier. Exit total 1200. Exit distributing XP to all active skeletons. Done. Exit all active skeletons gain plus 12 attack power. Add 12 attack power. Per skeleton. Per fight. And that was 6 C-rank monsters. Taijin felt something he had never felt before. Not power, not confidence, hunger. What happened if he killed more? What happened if he killed stronger enemies? What happened if the multiplier stacked on top of itself? He pushed deeper. The second encounter was a troll. B rank, 8 feet tall, green skin, regeneration ability. In a standard dungeon, a troll required a B rank party with a dedicated healer and a tank with taunt skills. Trolls were dangerous because they didn't stay down. You cut them, they healed. You broke them, they reformed. Taijin sent 10 skeletons. The troll roared and swatted 2 aside, crushing their rib cages. The remaining 8 swarmed it. One grabbed its leg. Another latched onto its arm. A third drove a sword through its throat. The troll healed. Of course it did. The wound closed in seconds, but the skeletons didn't stop. They kept attacking, kept cutting, kept driving weapons into the same spots before they could close. The troll's regeneration couldn't keep up with 8 simultaneous attackers hitting it from every direction. 12 seconds later, the troll stopped moving. The enemy defeated. Cave Troll, B rank. Ageta gained 2000. Higher rank kill, X3 multiplier. Ageta overwhelm kill, 8v1, X2 multiplier. Ageta distributing XP to all active skeletons. Done. Ageta all active skeletons gain plus 120 attack power. God Taijin's breath caught. A single B rank troll gave more XP than 6 C rank hounds. Multiplied by 3 because it was a higher rank. Multiplied by 2 because of the group advantage. 12,000 XP. 120 attack power per skeleton. And every skeleton got stronger. Every single one. Not just the ones that fought. All of them. Killing multiple strong enemies at once doesn't just give a bonus. It multiplies the multiplier. The system was designed to reward exactly this. Overwhelming force applied efficiently. Taijin pressed on corridor after corridor, room after room, shadowhounds, cave trolls, venomous lizard swarms, a corrupted treant that spat acid, a stone golem that took 20 skeletons to bring down. Each fight ended the same way. Fast, brutal, efficient, and each time the notification stacked. Enemy defeated, stone golem, B rank. Agus gained 3500. Higher rank kill, X3 multiplier. Ago S elemental kill, bone versus stone, X 1.5 multiplier. Ago kill, group he 1, 20v1, X2 multiplier. Ago all active skeletons gained plus 315 attack power. His skeletons were evolving, not just getting stronger, changing. The standard skeletons were denser now, their bones harder, their movements sharper. The constructs were growing larger, the blue fire in their chests burning brighter. And then he found the boss room. The door was massive. Black iron, covered in runes that pulsed with a sick red light. The air around it was cold enough that Taijin's breath came out in clouds. He could feel something behind it. Something big. Something that made the hair on his arms stand up. He almost turned back. Almost then he remembered Ciola's text message. You'll find another party eventually. Maybe. He pushed the door open. The boss was an abyssal warden. A rank. 12 feet tall, humanoid, with skin like cracked obsidian, and a massive warhammer that crackled with dark energy. Its eyes were hollow pits of red flame, and when it saw Taijin, it smiled. Smiled. The kind of smile that said, finally something to kill. Taijin's instincts screamed at him to run. This was an A-rank monster. His skeletons were B-rank equivalent. Even with the numbers advantage, A-rank meant a fundamental gap in power. An A-rank monster could wipe a B-rank party without breaking a sweat. But Taijin wasn't a B-rank party. He was a necromancer lord with an army, a multiplier system, and absolutely nothing left to lose. He raised both hands. All of you, go. 60 skeletons and 10 constructs charged. The Abyssal Warden swung its hammer. The first wave of skeletons disintegrated on impact. Bones shattered, blue fire scattered. 10 skeletons gone in one swing, but the rest kept coming. They swarmed the Warden's legs, climbing its body, stabbing and slashing at every joint and crack. The construct reached its back and drove 4 fists into its spine simultaneously. The Warden roared, stomped. 3 more skeletons crushed underfoot. It grabbed a construct and tore it in half, throwing the pieces against the wall. But Taijin was already calling more. From the throne room, miles away, his army heard. He felt the connection, the soul chain linking him to every skeleton in his domain. He didn't need words. He didn't need gestures. He willed them, and they moved. 100 more skeletons poured through the corridors. Then 200. They flooded the boss room like water through a broken dam, climbing over each other, swarming the Warden from every direction. The Warden was strong. Unbelievably strong. Each swing killed dozens. Each stomp shattered the floor, but for every skeleton it destroyed, 3 more took its place, and every skeleton that died wasn't wasted. The system made sure of that. The skeleton destroyed. Compensation, plus 5% damage to all remaining skeletons for 10 seconds. Stack, x5, x20, x35. The more they died, the harder the rest hit. The Warden staggered. Its hammer swung slower. Its red eyes flickered. Taijin watched from the doorway, his hands clenched, his heart hammering louder than the battle. Then he felt it. A pull. A command rising in his chest that he didn't consciously form. Grave domain. The words left his mouth and the world changed. Black light erupted from the floor. The entire boss room turned dark. The air became thick, heavy, suffocating. The Warden's movement slowed to a crawl. Its regeneration, because of course an A-rank monster had regeneration, stopped working entirely. Grave domain activated. All enemies within range lose 50% movement speed, 50% defense, and all regeneration abilities. All allied skeletons gain 100% attack speed and 50% damage. The Warden screamed, a horrible grinding sound, like metal tearing against stone. 300 skeletons hit it at once. The warhammer fell from its hand. Its knees buckled, its skin cracked, not from weapons, but from the domain itself, the death aura seeping into its bones, rotting it from the inside out. 5 seconds later, the Abyssal Warden collapsed. Enemy defeated. Abyssal Warden, A rank, gained 15,000. Agazin, higher rank kill, x5 multiplier. Agus domain kill, x3 multiplier. Agasa overwhelm kill, 300 v1, x3 multiplier. No damage kill, inheritor took 0 damage, x2 multiplier. Agazit total 1,350,000. Agazit all active skeletons gain plus 13,500 attack power. Inheritor level increased from 1 to 24. Agazit title earned Abyss Slayer. God 1,350,000 XP. From a single fight, Taijin stared at the notification. His hands were shaking, not from fear, from something he hadn't felt in years. Excitement, a level 10 nobody, no, not even level 10. A level 1 nobody with a 0.3 mana core had just soloed an A-rank Abyss boss. Not with skill, not with talent, with an army, a system, and a multiplier that turned every death into fuel. But here's the real question. What happens when he takes this army to the surface? What happens when the people who called him worthless see what he's become? But what happens when the whole guild finds out? Taijin stood at the dungeon entrance for a full minute before stepping out. Not because he was afraid. Not anymore. He was thinking about optics. If he walked out of an unranked gate with 10,000 skeletons behind him, every hunter in a 5-mile radius would report it. The association would scramble response teams. News helicopters would show up. His face would be on every screen in Korea by dinner. He didn't want that. Not yet. So he did something clever. He dismissed the army. Not permanently. The soul chain kept them linked regardless of distance. They would return to the Bone Throne and wait. He could summon any of them at any time, anywhere, as long as he had mana, and the Bone Throne supplied that passively, feeding him a constant stream of death energy that replenished faster than he could spend it. But on the surface, he looked like exactly what he was 3 days ago. A skinny, tired F-rank hunter in a torn jacket with a cracked phone and empty pockets. Nobody looked at him. Nobody noticed perfect. He walked to the nearest convenience store, bought a cheap meal with the last of his money, and sat on a bench outside to eat and think. He needed a plan. Revenge was tempting. Minwoo's face kept floating into his mind. That patient smile, those calm words. You'll be fine. We're right behind you. But revenge without strategy was just anger. And Anger made people stupid. He needed information. He needed to know what the world looked like from the outside. What did people know about necromancers? What did the system say about his class? How rare was it? He pulled out his crack phone and searched. The results were immediate and surprising. Necromancer class. Unregistered. No known active users in Korea. No known active users in Asia. Historical records referenced a necromancer during the Great Gate incident 7 years ago. A hunter who controlled the dead and single-handedly cleared an S-rank gate that had threatened to swallow Busan. That hunter vanished afterward. No name, no photo, no guild affiliation. The association classified the file and buried it. Interesting, so the last necromancer was powerful enough to solo an S-rank gate. And the government was scared enough to erase him from history. Taijin bookmarked the article and kept reading. Necromancy was widely considered a cursed class. Not weak, the opposite. Terrifyingly strong, but taboo. The public associated it with death, with darkness, with things that shouldn't be controlled. No guild wanted a necromancer on their roster. No party wanted to fight alongside one. Which meant if anyone found out what Taijin had become, he wouldn't be celebrated. He'd be feared, and fear, in the hunter world, meant one of two things. They either tried to control you, or they tried to kill you. Taijin finished his meal, crumpled the wrapper, tossed it. He needed to test something. Not his power, he already knew what that could do. He needed to test how the world reacted when they got a glimpse of it. He found what he was looking for 2 days later. A D-rank gate had opened in a residential district near Gwangjin. Standard procedure. The association posted a public clearing notice, and any registered hunter ranked D or above could enter and claim the rewards. D rank. Low level. Safe enough that solo hunters frequently use these gates for quick cash. Dangerous enough that F ranks were technically discouraged from entering technically. Taijin registered at the gate checkpoint. The association officer scanned his hunter ID, saw the F rank designation, and frowned. Sir, this is a D rank gate. F rank hunters are not recommended for solo entry. I know. If you die in there, the association is not liable. I know. The officer shrugged, stamped his form, waved him through. The gate was a standard dungeon. 3 floors, goblin-type monsters, a hobgoblin boss on the 3rd floor. Easy work for a D-rank party. Moderately risky for a solo D-rank. Suicidal for an F-rank. Taijin walked in alone and came out 47 minutes later. The association officer was still at the checkpoint, scrolling his phone. He looked up when Taijin emerged, blinked, and checked his tablet. Wait, you're already out? Did you clear it? Yeah. Solo? Yeah. The officer pulled up the gate status. His screen showed the dungeon was fully cleared. All monsters eliminated. Boss defeated. Gate collapsed and sealed. That's a D-rank gate cleared in under an hour. Solo, by an F-rank. The officer's voice carried. Hunters waiting near the checkpoint heard it. A few turned to look. That's impossible, one of them said. A C-rank, mid-20s, guild jacket with a logo Taijin didn't recognize. F-ranks can't clear D-rank gates. Their mana isn't high enough to deal damage to D-rank monsters. Maybe he got lucky, another hunter offered. Goblins are weak. If they swarm in a narrow corridor and trap themselves, a lucky crit doesn't kill a hobgoblin boss. Those things have 500 HP minimum. Taijin stood there, saying nothing, letting them talk, letting them wonder. Because here's what they didn't know. He hadn't used his army. He hadn't used Grave Domain. He hadn't used a single skill. He had used Bone Armor, level max. The skill created a layer of hardened bone over his skin, invisible to the naked eye, but tougher than steel. It cost almost no mana to maintain, and at level max, it absorbed damage equivalent to an A-rank hunter's full defense stat. D-rank goblins hit him and broke their own weapons. The hobgoblin boss swung a club at his head. The club shattered. Taijin punched it in the chest. Once. Its ribs caved in. One punch. An F-rank with a strength stat of 4 had punched a D-rank boss hard enough to destroy its rib cage. Because bone armor at level max didn't just protect him, it amplified his physical output by routing death energy through his bones. Every strike carried the weight of 10,000 dead. The association officer logged the clear and flagged it. Taijin saw the flag appear on the officer's screen, a yellow triangle with an exclamation mark. Anomalous result. F-rank hunter performing above class tier. That flag would go somewhere. Someone would see it. Someone would start asking questions. Good. Taijin walked away from the checkpoint without looking back. 3 days later, he cleared a CH rank gate. Solo. In 22 minutes, the association flagged it again. This time, the flag was orange. Second anomaly. Pattern detected. By the 4th day, Taijin had cleared 3 more gates. 2 C rank, 1 B rank. All solo, all fast, all flagged. The B-rank gate made it impossible to ignore. B-rank gates required a minimum party of 4 B-rank hunters or equivalent. Solo clears were virtually unheard of. In Korea's entire hunter registry, only 7 hunters had ever soloed a B-rank gate, and all of them were A-rank or above. An F-rank doing it was not just anomalous. It was unprecedented. The association sent an investigator. Her name was Detective Inspector Han Ji-won, B-rank hunter, Association Intelligence Division. 34 years old with short hair, sharp eyes, and a reputation for being impossible to lie to, she found Taejin at a food court near Seoul's Hunter District, eating a bowl of soup that cost $4. Kang Taejin? He looked up. Yeah? I'm Inspector Han from the association. I have some questions about your recent gate clears. She sat down across from him without waiting for an invitation, placed a tablet on the table. The screen showed his hunter file, photo, stats, gate history. F rank, registered 3 years ago. No level gains, no skill acquisitions, no party affiliations, no notable activity until 12 days ago when you suddenly began clearing gates at a rate that defies your registered stats. She scrolled through the data. D rank, gate, solo clear 47 minutes. C rank gate, solo clear 22 minutes. Another C rank, 19 minutes. Another C rank, 26 minutes. And then she paused, looked up at him. A B rank gate, solo, 31 minutes, no support, no healing items used, no damage taken. She let that hang in the air. 0 damage taken in a B rank dungeon. As an F rank, Taejin kept eating his soup. I have questions, she said. And you're going to answer them. Ask how. How what? How did you clear a B rank gate without taking damage? Your mana core is 0.3. You have no registered combat class, no registered skills. According to every metric we have, you shouldn't be able to survive a B-rank dungeon, let alone clear one without a scratch. Taejin set down his spoon, looked at her, really looked at her, not scared, not nervous, not evasive, calm. People change. Han Ji-won's eyes narrowed. People don't change from F-rank to B-rank solo capacity in 12 days. That doesn't happen. Not without reawakening, and reawakening requires a traumatic trigger event and association supervision, neither of which appear in your file. Maybe your file is incomplete, or maybe you're hiding something. Taejin shrugged. I'm an F-rank eating soup in a food court. What could I possibly be hiding? She didn't laugh, but something in her expression shifted. The suspicion didn't decrease. It changed direction. She had come here expecting to find a cheater. Someone using illegal enhancers or stolen equipment or a hacked hunter ID. Someone she could catch, report, and close the file on. Instead, she was sitting across from a man who had no illegal substances in his blood, no stolen gear on his body, and no fear in his eyes. Just calm, just quiet, absolute certainty, and that scared her more than anything else could have. Kang Taejin, she said slowly. What are you? He smiled. The same kind of smile the Abyssal Warden had given him in the boss room. Not cruel, not mocking, just honest. I'm the guy who eats soup. Han Ji-won left, but she didn't close the file. She escalated it. Within 24 hours, Taejin's name appeared on the desks of 3 guild masters, 2 association department heads, and 1 person who operated entirely in shadows. The information was limited. F-rank hunter. Sudden spike in performance. No explanation. No visible power source. And that was the problem. If he had an S-rank skill, they could see it. If he had a hidden class, the system would display it. If he was using illegal enhancements, blood tests would catch it. None of those applied. He was clean. Invisible. Impossible. Which left only one theory that made sense to the people watching. He was hiding his real rank. In the hunter world, rank suppression was rare but not unheard of. Powerful hunters sometimes registered at lower ranks to avoid government attention, guild recruitment pressure, or public scrutiny. The association had protocols for it: reawakening, reclassification, supervised testing. But rank suppression had limits. You could hide your power level. You couldn't hide the effects of your power level. And the effects Taejin was producing didn't match an A rank. They matched something higher. The first guild to move was Mithril Vanguard. S-rank guild. One of Korea's top 5. Their intelligence division had been monitoring anomalous gate activity for weeks, and Taejin's name kept appearing. The guild master, a man named Choi Sung-jin, sat in his office on the 42nd floor of a tower in Gangnam, reading Taejin's file with the kind of expression usually reserved for bomb threats. F-rank for 3 years. 0 growth. Then 12 days ago, he starts clearing gates like he's been S-ranked the whole time. What's the read? His lieutenant, a woman named Park So-young, leaned against the window. Best case, late bloomer. Rare reawakening. Power surged after a traumatic event. His file mentions an abandonment incident in a C-rank dungeon 2 weeks ago. Worst case? So-young hesitated. Worst case, he's not a late bloomer. He's a returner. someone who's already lived through a full hunter life cycle and come back with knowledge of future events. His combat patterns are too efficient for a beginner. No wasted movement, no hesitation. He fights like someone who's been doing this for years. Sunjin put the file down, or he's something else entirely. Something we haven't seen before. There's one more thing, So Young said. The B rank gate he cleared. The dungeon boss was an orc warlord. High aggression, heavy armor. Takes a full B rank party 5 to 10 minutes to bring down. How long did it take him? 40 seconds. Silent Sunjin picked the file back up. Read it again. Slower this time. Find him, he said quietly. Don't approach, don't engage. Just find him and watch. I want to know everything. Where he eats, where he sleeps, who he talks to. Everything. And if he notices, then we know he's at least A rank perception level, which makes him even more dangerous than we thought. Across the city, another guild was having a different conversation. Iron Fang, the guild that had left Taejin to die in a dungeon 2 weeks ago. Park Minwoo sat in the guild's break room, scrolling through hunter forums on his phone. He wasn't looking for Taejin. He didn't think about Taejin. The baggage carrier was gone, probably dead, definitely irrelevant, but then a forum post caught his eye. Phantom Ranker. F rank hunter solo clears B rank gate. 0 damage, association investigating. He clicked. Read. Scrolled through the comments. Most were skeptical. Some were impressed. A few were calling it fake, but one comment buried near the bottom said, I work at the checkpoint. I checked his ID. Kang Taejin. F rank. 3 years registered. No guild. The guy walked in looking like a college student and walked out looking like he just took a stroll in the park. Minwoo's thumb stopped scrolling. Kang Taejin, the baggage carrier. The F rank nobody he had left to die in a dungeon. The one Seola told him not to worry about. Minwoo pulled up the association's public gate log. Searched the name, the records were there. All of them. D rank, C rank, C rank, C rank, B rank. All solo. All cleared. All in the last 2 weeks, his stomach dropped. Not because Taejin was strong. That couldn't be right. The man had a 0.3 mana core. He couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag, but the data was real. Association verified. Stamp and all, Minwoo called Seola. Have you seen the gate logs? What gate logs? Taejin. He's been clearing gates. Solo. Including a B rank. Silence on the line. Then that's not funny. I'm not laughing. More silence. Then Seola's voice came back tighter, controlled. It's probably a glitch. The association system misclassified the gate difficulty. It happens. Or he partied up with someone and the system logged it wrong. He was logged solo. Every time. Then someone's playing a prank. Or he found a backer. A high-rank hunter is carrying him and letting him take the clear credit. Minwoo wanted to believe that. He really did. But something in his gut said otherwise. And something else. Something deeper. Something he would never admit out loud. Was afraid. Because if Kang Taejin was actually strong, if the F rank nobody he had abandoned and tried to kill was now capable of soloing B rank gates, then Taejin had a reason to come looking for him. And people who could solo B rank gates didn't need reasons to do whatever they wanted. They think he's a god. They think a disaster is coming. They're half right. Taejin didn't go looking for Minwoo. Minwoo came looking for him. 5 days after the B rank gate clear went viral on Hunter forums, Taejin was sitting in a coffee shop near the Hunter Association building. The same coffee shop where Seola had broken up with him 2 years ago. He chose it on purpose. He wasn't sure why. Maybe closure. Maybe something pettier. He was halfway through a cheap Americano when the door opened, and Park Minwoo walked in. Taejin recognized him immediately. You don't forget the face of the man who told you to walk into a monster's mouth. Minwoo was bigger in person than in photos. Tall, broad, well-groomed. He wore a fitted guild jacket with the Iron Fang logo on the chest and the kind of confident posture that came from never having lost a fight in his life. Behind him, 2 more Iron Fang members, both C rank. One carried a staff, the other a short sword. Backup. Not subtle about it either. And behind them, hesitant, hanging back near the door, Seola, she looked different. Her hair was shorter. Her clothes were more expensive. She held her phone in both hands like a shield, her eyes flicking between Minwoo and Taejin and the floor. Minwoo walked to Taejin's table, stood over him, didn't sit. Kang Taejin. Taejin looked up from his coffee. Oh, you remember my name. I'm flattered. Minwoo didn't smile. His jaw was tight, the kind of tight that said he'd been rehearsing this conversation for days and was annoyed that it wasn't going the way he planned. We need to talk. We don't. The gate clears. The forum, the association investigation. People are talking about you. Good. Minwoo's eye twitched. He wasn't used to this. 2 weeks ago, Taejin was a nobody who flinched when spoken to. Now the man was sipping coffee like Minwoo was interrupting his morning routine. I don't know what you're doing or who's helping you, but you need to stop. Taejin set his cup down. Why? Because you're drawing attention. To yourself. To anyone connected to you. Including us. Ah, there it was. Taejin leaned back, looked at Minwoo. Really looked. The man wasn't angry, he was scared. Not of Taejin, not yet. Of exposure. Of the possibility that someone might dig into the dungeon incident and find out what Iron Fang did. You're not worried about me, Taejin said. You're worried about yourself. Minwoo's fists clenched. I came here to give you a chance. Walk away. Stop clearing gates. Drop off the radar. In return, I'll make sure nobody bothers you. No blacklists, no guild pressure, nothing. That's generous. It's more than you deserve. Taejin tilted his head. More than I deserve. You left me to die in a dungeon, Minwoo. You looked me in the eye and sent me into a boss room while you ran for the exit. And now you're standing in a coffee shop offering me a deal? Minwoo leaned forward, his voice dropped. Nobody told you to be F rank for 3 years. Nobody told you to be weak. I did what I had to do. The party was in danger. I made a call. You made a call, Taejin repeated. Yes. Then I'm going to make one too. Minwoo straightened. What does that mean? Taejin stood up. He was shorter than Minwoo, smaller, lighter. By every physical metric, he should have been intimidated. He wasn't. It means I'm not dropping off any radar. I'm not walking away. And I'm not taking deals from people who tried to kill me. Minwoo's face hardened. The mask slipped. Behind the confident posture and the guild jacket and the backup standing by the door, Taejin saw it clearly: fear. Not of him specifically. Not yet. Fear of losing control. Fear of a variable that didn't behave the way it was supposed to. Minwoo had spent his entire life at the top of a hierarchy. Handsome, strong, respected, desired. He had never encountered someone who refused to stay at the bottom. You're making a mistake, Minwoo said. His voice was low now, threatening. The voice of a man who had never needed to threaten because his strength spoke for itself. Am I? You're F rank, Taejin. You were F rank 3 years ago, and you'll be F rank 3 years from now. I don't know what trick you're using to clear those gates, but tricks don't last. Eventually, you'll hit a wall you can't cheat, and when that happens, nobody will be there to help you. Not the association. Not any guild. Not Ciola. He said her name like a weapon. Like she was a prize Taejin had already lost. Taejin glanced at Ciola. She was still standing by the door, arms crossed, refusing to meet his eyes. The same posture she had in the dungeon. The same silence. Ciola, Taejin said. She flinched, actually flinched. Like hearing him say her name was physically painful. What? Her voice was barely above a whisper. Do you have anything to say to me? She looked at Minwoo, then at the floor, then at Taejin. I told you not to file the complaint. I told you it would make things harder. You should have listened. Taejin nodded slowly. You're right, I should have listened. Ciola blinked. She hadn't expected agreement. But not to you. I should have listened to myself. I should have known that the people who abandon you once will abandon you again. And I should have stopped pretending that staying quiet would protect me from anything. He picked up his coffee, took a sip, set it down. I'm done staying quiet.